first segment of the news is brought to you by KFC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapindo with your JCN News. It's good having you with us. It's been months since the allegations were first lodged, and perhaps just as long since the Miami-based Cuban exile group Democracy Movement took their plight to the streets, protesting against the Bahamas after Cuban detainees here claimed they were being abused by officers at the Carmichael Road Detention Center. The issue has sparked widespread controversy, and the only ones we have not heard from in this matter were the implicated officers themselves. Well, in this report, our Anthea Smith tells us they will soon have their chance to tell their side of the story.
Those Defense Force officers accused of abusing Cuban detainees at the Carmichael Road Detention Center will finally get the chance to defend themselves, as an internal hearing into the matter will soon get underway. During a press conference Tuesday, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage told reporters that Defense Force officials have finally completed their investigations into allegations of abuse of Cubans at the detention center, and now in-house proceedings similar to a trial before a magistrate's court will be held.
These proceedings are being conducted in accordance with the legal rules prescribed under the Defense Act and the regulations, which approximate a trial before a magistrate's court. As such, we will refrain from making any comments concerning the proceedings while they are under consideration.
That said, Dr. Nottage declined to give any information whatsoever as to what came out of that report and how these internal proceedings will be carried out. When asked how many officers are implicated in the matter, Dr. Nottage again refused to comment. Last month, the report allegedly the official filed, supposedly documenting exactly what happened at the Carmichael Road site, noted that 5 Defense Force officers were culpable in the matter and even admitted to being involved. Our news team asked Dr. Nottage if the fact that this matter is now headed to a court-like proceeding means the report confirms Cubans have been abused. But here's what he said.
No, what it is safe to say is that the persons who have been implicated in any way will have the opportunity to have their case heard by the Defense Force process. We expect that this isn't anything new. The Defense Force constantly has to deal with reports or infractions by persons who are a part of those agencies. No, it is not a criminal proceedings as far as I'm aware, but it is a proceedings that's done consistent with the Defense Act, and depending on what they find, I guess one would determine ultimately what type of hearing it is.
The National Security Minister added that the hearings will be held on camera, but a full report of the proceedings will be issued at the conclusion. He says this is to avoid publication of matters which may compromise national security. Now, Dr. Nottage says 3 independent observers will be allowed to attend the hearings in order to assure the public that the proceedings are transparent and just.
They will be chosen from the general public. One is likely to be a judge, one is likely to be a member of the church, and one is likely to be someone who's familiar with these types of tribunal. But the names we're not at liberty to release today, but you'll get them very shortly.
Dr. Nottage couldn't say exactly when those hearings will begin, nor when the report on those hearings will be available, but he says they will be done in the shortest time possible. Just recently, the opposition slammed the government for dragging its feet in appointing a committee to conduct a review of the detention center. But Dr. Nottage announced Tuesday that that's already been done.
Justice Emmanuel Osalabe, the Reverend William Higgs, and former Superintendent of Police, Mr. Douglas Hanna, have agreed to serve on a committee to inquire into the administration of the detention center and to make recommendations for its efficient administration and management. This committee has been asked to complete its inquiry in the shortest time possible.
Dr. Nottage says that committee is expected to start its work within the next 7 to 10 days. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Anthea Smith.
Meantime, 13 Cubans were interdicted by the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in Bahamian waters last evening. In a statement issued this morning, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell noted that he has instructed officials to immediately review this and other recent interdictions, including formal contacts with immediate neighboring countries, to determine if there is any connection to criminal elements in those countries seeking to destabilize the Bahamas by encouraging people to breach the country's borders by leaving Cuba and entering the Bahamas illegally. Well, a day after a family of 6 was killed in an early morning fire at their home in the Angliston community, we have now learned the identities of those victims. As we reported earlier, a toddler is among the group of casualties. She is 2-year-old Joashni King, her mother 22-year-old Jennifer Besant, their aunt Marilyn Palmer, and her daughter Eunice Pratt. Also killed in yesterday's fire, 15-year-old Melchizedek Bain and 15-year-old Trevon Grant. They all died in that blaze, which started just before 2 a.m. Monday as the family struggles to deal with the tragic loss. Speculation is mounting over the circumstances surrounding the incident. Neighbors and relatives have pointed out several factors that they deem suspicious, including the fact that all the victims were found in the same room, and it appears from some accounts that the family may have been locked inside the structure, as some neighbors report that all of the doors had been nailed shut from the outside. Authorities, meanwhile, are dismissing their assertions and say the investigation is still ongoing. Head of Fire Services, Superintendent Walter Evans, says the investigation should be completed in just a matter of days. Well, the unfortunate timing of yesterday's horrific fire that claimed the lives of the 6 people came on the same day the Fire Services Division of the Royal Bahamas Police Force kicked off its 12th annual Fire Safety Awareness Week. During yesterday's opening ceremony at the mall at Marathon, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage pledged the government's support to those on the front lines of battling these at times deadly forces.
We have made good on our promise, the government has, to deliver 5 new state-of-the-art fire appliances, 4 1,000 gallons capacity pumper trucks, and 1 2,000 gallons water capacity tanker truck. 3 are stationed in New Providence, and you all might have seen me manipulating one of them a few weeks ago. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I was being instructed by experts. 2 are on the island of Grand Bahama. These vehicles are expected to serve the Bahamian communities well into the future. During this fiscal period, my government will increase the level of human resources within fire services by recruiting a squad of 30 officers. Following the required training and police duties and fire science, they will be fully equipped to serve our community.
The theme for this year's fire safety is empowering the disabled through fire safety, and with more than 1,200 fires already reported for the year, throughout the week, officers attached to the fire division will travel to schools and organizations across the country, offering up tips and giving demonstrations to aid with getting out alive and ensuring that everyone understands how important it is to take the necessary steps to avoid this. A drug arrest, a traffic fatality ID, and an action-packed police chase. All those stories and more up next.
The first segment of the news was brought to you by KFC.